In this podcast episode, Sadhguru engages in a profound dialogue about the complexities of human consciousness, mind, and well-being. He addresses common misunderstandings about living in the present moment, explores the nature of identity, relationships, desire, karma, and trauma, and shares insights into how to effectively manage the mind and body to foster a blissful, conscious life. The conversation also touches on the painful realities faced by veterans, the societal impact of loneliness and mental health, and approaches to healing and self-mastery. Sadhguru challenges the popular notion of being in the moment by explaining that one cannot truly be anywhere other than the present moment. The idea often misleads people into suppressing thoughts about the past or future, which according to him is neither practical nor beneficial. Humans have evolved with a complex brain designed precisely to think about past and future events to navigate life effectively. The key is not to eliminate thoughts, but to become skilled at handling multiple streams of mental activity without being overwhelmed. Instead of striving to be in the moment as a single focus, one should learn to engage the mind's multiple activities consciously and without imbalance. The mind, Sadhguru explains, is a multi-layered instrument comprising intellect, buddhi, identity, ahankara, memory, manas, and the fundamental intelligence or consciousness, chitta. The intellect functions like a sharp knife meant to penetrate realities, but it must be wielded skillfully by the identity that holds it. Without a well-trained identity, which often forms from societal and cultural conditioning, the intellect can become destructive to oneself. Memory adds depth but also complexity, as it houses multiple layers, including genetic and evolutionary memories, all influencing present experience. Above these is chitta, the pure, memoryless intelligence that underpins creation and life itself. Mastery of these facets of the mind is essential for well-being, but is largely absent from modern education and societal training. Sadhguru highlights identity as a crucial factor that shapes experience and behavior. Human beings often identify with limited constructs such as nationality, religion, ethnicity, or community, which can lead to divisiveness and conflict. Expanding identity to a cosmic or all-inclusive level, seeing oneself as part of the whole creation, is foundational in yogic philosophy. Such an expanded identity transforms relationships and action because one ceases to view others as separate or as mere fulfillers of personal needs. This shift reduces transactional, need-based interactions and promotes inclusiveness, compassion, and deeper connection. Human relationships predominantly arise from physical, emotional, financial, or social needs. These transactional relationships, though essential, can be fragile and prone to conflict when expectations are unmet. Sadhguru asserts that genuine, profound relationships occur only when individuals relate beyond these needs, simply valuing each other's existence without strings attached. Such relationships are rare and demand a shift in perception from seeing others as resources to acknowledging them as fellow human beings with intrinsic value. Human intelligence is not monolithic. The intellect, buddhi, must be sharp, the identity, ahankara, must be steady, and attention, prajna, must be consciously directed. Most people struggle with their own intellect and emotion because they have not learned how to wield them properly. Unlike other technologies humans master, the mind lacks a well-understood user's manual, leading to misuse and internal suffering, such as anxiety, depression, and self-inflicted mental injury. Sadhguru stresses that the problem isn't the brain's capacity, but how people handle and manage their mental faculties with awareness. Consciousness, or chitta in yogic terms, transcends physical and mental boundaries. It is the source of creation, not limited by memory or physical form, and is present in all things. While physical aspects have limits, consciousness has no boundaries or end. Realization of this boundless nature is called yoga, the experience of union with all life. This is not an acquisition, but a homecoming, a recognition of what has always been. Sadhguru urges looking beyond identification with the body and mind and expanding sensory awareness to include one's environment and cosmos. Human suffering largely arises from memory, past experiences, and imagination, future possibilities. People continuously relive past pain or anticipate future misery, which causes distress, disconnected from the present reality. Being in the moment, in the narrow sense, is impossible and potentially destructive because it ignores the necessity of past learning and future planning. True peace comes from consciously managing the effects of memory and imagination, not suppressing or denying them. Desire is an expression of the innate human longing to expand beyond limitations. The objects of desire may change, from lollipops in childhood to galaxies in adulthood, but the fundamental phenomenon is the aspiration for expansiveness. Desire often expresses itself in a constrained or constipated manner within a limited physical realm, leading to dissatisfaction. Recognizing this uncovers the spiritual path, which is essentially about transcending physical limits and seeking the infinite nature of existence. Karma is explained simply as action, but more importantly, it is about conscious action or volition. Actions performed with full awareness have a different impact than those done unconsciously or impulsively. Sadhguru differentiates between planned, reactive, and purely mental intentions, affirming that the strongest karmic influences come from what one repeatedly holds in the mind, not just physical acts. Conscious living means increasing awareness of actions, thoughts, and emotions to direct one's experience, rather than being a victim of external circumstances. Discussing trauma and the prevalence of mental health challenges, especially among veterans, Sadhguru emphasizes proactive prevention rather than reactive treatment. He advocates equipping individuals with tools for mind and energy management before they enter traumatic situations, such as military service. Programs like Inner Engineering offer practical methods to cultivate mental resilience and blissful chemistry in the body. Addressing trauma effectively requires shifting the internal state of the individual rather than merely modifying external circumstances or medicating symptoms. The power of focused attention, or prajna, is another key teaching. Sadhguru recounts how the ability to hold one's attention sharply and consciously on any object or process is foundational to expanding consciousness and mastering oneself. Attention is often deficient by choice or habit, and reclaiming it transforms the quality of life drastically. Developing this skill leads to profound perception shifts and the experience of expanded sensory boundaries. Sadhguru elucidates yoga as not merely a set of physical exercises, but as the experience of union, realizing that what we commonly perceive as self includes and is inseparable from the environment, other beings, and the cosmos. He illustrates this with sensory body boundaries, explaining how enlarging the field of sensation blurs the division between self and non-self. When this realization dawns experientially, ethical living and compassion arise naturally without coercion. The conversation addresses death and the nature of self beyond the body. Sadhguru challenges listeners to explore the question of what one truly is while alive, rather than postponing it to after death. He identifies the body and mind's contents as things gathered temporarily, not the true self. The essence of who we are lies beyond these temporary constituents, and understanding this self is the path to freedom from fear and suffering. Sadhguru notes that everyone has desires, but the relationship one has with them is crucial. One can either be driven by desires or consciously direct them. Awareness and mastery over desire, rather than suppression or indulgence, are key to spiritual progress. Desire's inherent restlessness pushes humans toward growth, but can also lead to attachment and suffering if unexamined. Sadhguru shares examples of work done with Indian Army personnel and prison populations, where structured programs have led to remarkable transformations. In prisons, programs have reduced violence, solitary confinement incidents, and psychological distress. For veterans, offering mindfulness-based tools can help address post-traumatic stress and improve mental health outcomes. The emphasis lies on empowering individuals to master their inner world regardless of external conditions. On the difficult topic of killing in war versus revenge, Sadhguru explains that karma relates to volition and intent rather than the mere action itself. Killing done out of anger, hatred, or pleasure results in deeper karmic consequences than killing performed under duty or necessity. Respecting the intrinsic value of all life and acting only to the extent necessary is essential for ethical living, especially within contexts like war. Sadhguru stresses that mental and chemical states within the body profoundly influence experience. Trauma, stress, joy, and bliss all have physiological correlates. Approaches like yoga and meditation aim to cultivate a blissful internal chemistry and stable energy, reducing suffering and enhancing resilience. When the internal quality of life improves, external hardships do not determine one's experience as severely. He draws a clear distinction between trying to change the external world to suit one's desires versus transforming oneself to be fit to live within any circumstances. One can control one's internal chemistry, energy, and mental processes, but cannot dictate every external event. Therefore, the priority is self-mastery and inner engineering, which enables a person to navigate life's uncertainties with equanimity. Using the analogy of electrical voltage controlling the brightness of light, Sadhguru explains raising consciousness as turning up the voltage internally. Through yogic practices, meditation, and focused effort, individuals can increase their level of awareness and experience the world in richer, more vivid ways. This heightened consciousness dissolves limitations and expands the sensory experience. The modern world is plagued with a lack of attention and mindfulness, which Sadhguru considers a serious flaw. Attention deficiency limits perception and understanding, making people vulnerable to mental suffering and superficial living. Training attention ensures deeper consciousness, better mental health, and an ability to hold the sharp knife of intellect without self-harm. Sadhguru ends the discussion reflecting on life and death, emphasizing that letting go of limited identifications allows the infinite, deathless aspect of being to come forth. For him and his teachings, life is about embodying a state of blissful presence while engaging with the world consciously. Each individual holds the potential to transform suffering into joy by learning to use their own mind and body with full awareness and expanded identity.